This episode of After Dark is brought to you with limited commercial interruption by Audible. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to audible.com/GamebreakerTV.
Gamebreaker TV.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to After Dark. Do I look any different? That's right. I'm now 13. 14? 13. I forget what I said last week. But welcome to After Dark, the show where you guys call in, make the show happen, and we answer your questions, or you just troll us. I don't know what it's going to be this week. But here with me to answer your guys' questions live is the one and only Mr. Allen. Yep.
Do I look any different?
It's gonna be a troll. I don't know. Did you?
No, I don't.
Did he get hair extensions? No. Right. I don't. No. All right. All right. Well, guys, we've got a good show for you guys. I know all of the first question that we've got on the line, so let me tell you, it's gonna be a great show. Let's open up the lines and get the show started. Caller, you're on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're from. Tell us your question. And let's get this going.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. It's Omikins from chat.
Well, this is just...
Oh my god, hi! Sorry.
Hi. My question is, since I've been talking with some people about the future expansion of WoW being possibly a Burning Legion expansion, and some of them don't really like that, do you think they might have something else in store, like maybe an Emerald Dream type expansion?
You mean... I see, you weren't supposed to say Emerald Dream. I was supposed to be really cool and like allude to your Twitter question earlier and be like an Emerald Dream type question?
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Expansions. Josh, you know, obviously you're a big lore World of Warcraft buff, but do you think that Emerald Dream is something that we could potentially see here? I honestly know that Emerald Dream, wasn't that almost in consideration before Mist of Pandaria came out? That's what people kind of maybe speculated was going to be the next expansion?
Emerald Dream has been the theory for the next expansion since before World of Warcraft released. Like, Burning Crusade, people were like, no, it's going to be Emerald Dream. Wrath of the Lich King, no, it's going to be Emerald Dream. No, then the Cataclysm, like, surely it will be Emerald Dream this time, but no. It's a theory that they've had floating around for a long time, and it was something that I know that they were kind of working on at some point. In fact, if you... I don't know if you're actually able to get to it now, but it used to be that you could actually, like, through some in-game trickery, there were, like, hidden areas in the world that you could get to that were actually, like, Emerald Dream areas. Like, they were actually creating an Emerald Dream world that they were putting things in. I don't know that we'll see one next. I think it's possible that we'll see an Emerald Dream expansion at some point. Right now, there's so much foreshadowing that's going on in the storyline and stuff that they're doing that points towards a Burning Legion / Titan themed expansion, and I'm kind of expecting that the Titans are going to play a much larger role, so it's not just going to be Burning Crusade 2.0, it'll be another, it'll be something different. But especially if you look at, like, if you've watched the kill videos that came out recently of Ra Den, some of the stuff that happens after you kill him, it seems to indicate that the Titans are perhaps going to enlist the aid of Azeroth to take on the Burning Legion or something like that. Random speculation. You guys should watch Conspiracy Craft, because that's the... Missy knows the lore way better than I do. But, and I'm actually not sure if they've hit that topic yet, but whatever. Anyway, I do think it's possible that we'll see an Emerald Dream expansion at some point. There was a series of novels that came out a while back, or maybe it was just one, I don't remember, but there were some novels that came out a while back that sort of played into a lot of the lore that they had been setting up before for the Emerald Dream expansion. Sort of talking about, like, what did Maiev get up to, why is... And this was pre-Cataclysm. Talking about where's Maiev now, what caused Malfurion to come out of the Emerald Dream, etc. So the work they'd done before probably that's gone at this point. That's not something we're going to see. But with how often the idea of an Emerald Dream expansion comes up, and with the amount of people that continually ask for it, like, okay, interesting thing about Pandaria is something I was talking with Lylira at BlizzCon 2 years ago, and she told me that at BlizzCons, one of the biggest like requested features that they ever get, at every BlizzCon, they have the little kiosks that are set up where you can put in suggestions and stuff. One of the biggest requests that they ever get was, add Pandaren to the game. We want to see more of Pandaren. We want to go to Pandaria. So with the amount of requests that come up for Emerald Dream, I would not be surprised at all to see that at some point. Maybe not the next expansion, but I'm sure we'll get there.
So for those who maybe don't know, let's talk just a little bit about what the Emerald Dream is. It's kind of this alternate Azeroth entity, essentially, right? It's kind of as if what Azeroth would be if the humans had never inherited the Earth, or what is it? And the Night Elves have the ability to tap into that.
From my understanding, it's pre-shattering, pre-cataclysm, obviously, pre-everything, like before the original Well of Eternity exploded and basically branched everything off. So it's essentially, for World of Warcraft players, a whole different continent. But it still could be pretty cool because it's like, okay, this is how Azeroth was originally, almost like a trip back in time. We're going back to like how the world was set up before then, and it's like this alternate universe where all of this crap never really happened. So it's definitely, I like the comment in chat. It's hipster WoW. It's World of Warcraft before it was cool. But yeah, it's a very interesting concept. The idea of if you sit down and try to figure out why would we go there, what's going on? Okay, so something's being corrupted in the Emerald Dream or something like that. That's been going on for a while. Why would we want to go to the Emerald Dream? And could it even be something where maybe you're switching between areas? Like maybe you go to someplace in like the Barrens or whatever, and then you have to go through a portal there, and it takes you to the Emerald Dream version of what the Barrens was, wherever the Barrens was before. Stuff like that. I think there's really, really cool ways to implement it. It's just, is that going to be the next one? Is it going to come up at some point? I don't know. There's just lots of great ideas that sort of float around it.
So, Omikins, you and your friends have obviously been talking about this, not sticking to maybe any of the other ideas that you guys have come up with, but the Emerald Dream, have you guys thought about kind of what Josh was talking about? What would be taking you into the Emerald Dream over the course of the expansion? Do you guys have any theories on what that would mean?
Of course. I mean, there are theories that float around. Simple ones like, just everyone going into a deep sleep, or I don't, so many ideas.
Welcome to level 95. Take a nap.
Exactly. Exactly.
Then you could get away with the super awesome like bazillion numbers because it's all just a dream, and your stats, you the fact that you hit for 1 million is fine because it's a dream world. And it's anything that I dream becomes my stats. The
thing about the Emerald Dream is it's called a dream world, but it's actually kind of a parallel existence. So what happens in the dream does actually happen. It is actually a place. It's not like something that you wake up from and go, oh, well, I never actually did any of that. No, you did it. You just did it in an alternate state of existence.
So, all right. So the Emerald Dream opens up a lot of possibilities. We're obviously coming into BlizzCon with an expansion announcement. Josh, you mentioned you think that there's allusion towards Burning Legion and Titans coming into the next expansion, but do we have any other ideas of where that they could take World of Warcraft in terms of expansions? I mean, what lore is really left in there to tap into besides Burning Legion and Sargeras? Because that was the point of Pandaria, was to rebuild some new lore to explore, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We still haven't ever been to Undermine, which is the Goblin home area. We still haven't ever... I know the Kul Tiras have been around, but I don't think we've ever been actually to their... I think it's a series of islands that they're based out of. There's obviously the idea of like going and digging up the Tomb of Sargeras, which it's underwater at this point, but going and finding it again. Obviously, underwater wasn't a thing before. But yeah, I think there's still lots of other directions that they could take things. Plus, that's actually one of the big draws to the Burning Legion idea is you can go back to Outland, and there's still a whole lot of Outland, like bits and pieces of that are floating around that we never even went to. Like we just went to this sort of main chunk of Outland while we were there. There's more of Draenor that's blasted apart and floating around in the twisting nether at this point. So there's lots of places for them to go still.
That's got to be the one thing that I love, and I think keeps not only me but a lot of people attached to World of Warcraft is definitely the lore. I think it's not only something going forward that's so rich, which is kind of what you mentioned. Hey, go watch Conspiracy Craft, and that's why that's such a great show. Is it's looking forward at what the lore could be, but there's also so much that's been established that people love, and ways that they could take the evolving world based off the precedented lore that's in the game. I think that's all why a lot of people love World of Warcraft so much. That's why people are still playing to this day, is the story.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. That's probably about all we got for that question, though. Thanks, Omikin, so much for your question. Let's move on here and reopen the lines. Caller, you're on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're from. Tell us your question.
I am Squirrel from Missouri.
Squirrel? You're a squirrel from Missouri?
Yep. Well, my name's Jason, but I go by Squirrel.
Oh, all right, all right.
Are you like a gray squirrel or a brown squirrel?
Can you give us some insight?
Brown.
Can you give us some insight as to who Klaus is? Because everybody has been asking.
Well, it's probably Missy. No,
probably Missy. It's now facts. It's been said on a show. It's probably Missy. Spread it around the internet. All right, what do you got for us, Squirrel?
Well, my biggest question is, the last 2 years, everybody's been hating on EA like they're the worst company in the world, and like that. Do people not realize that EA's been a bad company forever? Like, think back to the late 90s. If you had a popular franchise, they would just buy your company out so they could own that. And then they start closing them down early 2000s.
Yeah,
Josh?
It's just sort of something that I think has become a lot more apparent to people lately. Because of some of the big... Here's how it works. For a long time, EA had really, really bad business practices, but they were still putting out good titles. They were still creating content that people actually enjoyed. And they just sort of been slowly like hiking up prices on stuff, putting in more DLC, etc. Over time. So like you talk about the late 90s, yeah, they were definitely up to their old tricks back then, where they would buy an entire company, an entire franchise, and then lay off the entire staff afterwards because they were like, all we really wanted out of this was this game. We didn't actually want this development studio. So they would purchase a development studio and then kill it off as soon as it was done creating things. That's kind of been their MO for a long time now. I think it's more like the reason people are really starting to hate EA these days is just because of things like Mass Effect 3, like SimCity, like Dead Space 3, where they just keep doing these things that are so obviously abusive to consumers, or just, in some cases, just failing at things, where they're like, okay, well, this is just a mess, and I don't like this anymore, that sort of thing. They keep killing off beloved franchises, and that, I think, is why people are really, really starting to look at EA and say, you guys are really, really screwing the pooch right now.
I think my distaste... Go ahead.
I don't want to sound like a hipster or anything, but I've hated EA since they closed down Westwood and ruined Command and Conquer.
See, yeah, so. that was one of the first things that they did, because I was a huge Command and Conquer fan. That was one of the first things that they did that I was really like, really? And then they came out with like, what was it? Red Alert 2? Was that Red Alert 2 wasn't terrible. What was it?
Red Alert 2 was fun. It was Command and Conquer. It was the first person one.
Yeah, and there was another. They tried to make another RTS at some point. I don't remember which one it was, but they tried to make another CNC RTS at some point. It was just terrible, and I was like, ugh, you guys, stop this. But yeah, totally.
I think my distaste for EA kind of started. Now I know that EA had probably been doing stuff far before this, but this was my first kind of run-in with. I didn't really like the developer EA. Was they, like you said, Josh? They bought the James Bond franchise, and GoldenEye was obviously so well revered, and then every single GoldenEye multiplayer experience after that just didn't seem to live up to the potential that had been precedented in GoldenEye, and that was when the development of what EA had to offer. I was like, all right, EA, just do your sports games. Stop touching every other game in the world because just stick to sports. It's clearly your thing. And it's obviously spiraled out of control. You know, we're now looking at things with like Dead Space and Sim and everything that's become so more prevalent. And I think that's kind of what you were saying, Josh, is the fact that it's just becoming more apparent because it's touching more and more franchises that people are attached to.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to, like, I harp on EA a lot. I get very angry about some of their practices a lot of times, and I will admit there's a certain degree of satisfaction that happens when I look at something like the SimCity launch and I go, yeah, well, obviously there's EA up to their old tricks again, you know. But at the same time, I just kind of want to point out that I don't think the goal anyone should have here, I don't think anybody should be saying, yeah, I hope EA gets shut down, I hope EA goes bankrupt, I hope EA stops existing and they stop creating games. That's not good for gamers either. Like, not having games come out is also not good for gamers. I want EA to start making good games and stop, like, firing all their employees every time that they do. That's what we'd like to see out of EA right now. Not what they're doing right now, not what they've been doing for a while, but also not dead EA, right? I don't think that's a good end either.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think I agree with you there. Let's move on here real quick to a Twitter question. Josh, I got a question for you. Actually, I guess Robert De Leon more has a question for you, but I'm going to make this personal as well. Question for you, Josh. Have you ever gotten the urge to re-roll your main and delete your toons on your MMO to effectively start over fresh?
No, because MMOs have multiple servers. So when I feel the need to do that, I just go to a different server.
Why would you do that to yourself in the first place? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm gonna do a slash blade and see like 300 plus hours, maybe 500-600. I don't even know how many. And if I had my first account, I'm sure I wouldn't even want to know how many hours that I've played. Why on earth would you delete your progress?
Yeah, I would
You effectively wasted all of your time to just delete your character like that.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, first off, this is actually where my Warlock came from, who I'm now playing as my main character, is I actually did that sort of. I obviously didn't delete characters, but during Classic, there was a point where I said, you know what? I didn't have time for raiding at the moment. I didn't really have time to... I was working nights, so I didn't really have time for all the other activities that all my friends were doing, so I was like just logging on and getting to see them for like half of a second, and then they would all go to bed or something, and I'd be like, all right, well, now it's 7 o'clock in the morning, what am I going to do? So I went and re-rolled on another server, and I made a Warlock, and I was like, I'm just going to do this again. And at the time, it was actually a server that was pretty new. It had only been up for like a week. It was again, this was way back during Classic, but they had launched a new server, and I was like, okay, I'll jump over there, and I started leveling up my Warlock. And that was a lot of fun. It is a very, very different experience to be in an MMO under what's essentially launch conditions. And that's also why I like to play pretty much every new MMO that comes out. Not so much because it's like, well, I think that this MMO is going to beat World of Warcraft, or that MMO is going to beat World of Warcraft. It's for that experience of being in a new environment. And MMO changes so much within the first like 3 or 4 months that it's been out. There's so much that changes about how it works. You get to endgame, other people start getting to endgame, and you say, okay, well, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. We figured out that this thing doesn't work. Like Star Wars: The Old Republic, nobody knew how catastrophically terrible Ilum was until a few weeks after release, and that was something that for those few weeks the game was amazing. Like during the leveling, it still is actually really good. During the leveling experience, SWTOR has a very, very good leveling experience in it. It's just something that I like to. It's just such a different environment, and I don't even know that nowadays. Like if I were to go to World of Warcraft and just roll a brand new character on a completely different server, I don't know that I would still be able to get that same experience of a launch day MMO, just because I'm going to be the only one doing it. There's going to be level 90s everywhere. There's going to be max level people all over the place. To me, that sense of it's a brand new world. It's a whole new world, etc. Sorry, that was terrible, but yeah, that's something that I really, really enjoy quite a bit. So you've done worse. You've done worse.
No, not on this show. Yeah, I think that's the other part of it is that you really won't get that experience again. You won't get to be able to You won't be able to get that feeling, even though you're starting completely over. You know the game. People are already at 90, and there's nothing you can really do to feel like you're a part of that experience or that birth of a game, and that's why you kind of have to, like you were talking about, maybe do a new game experience versus. It's so hard to talk with this because I really just want to sing it. But yeah, I gotta agree. I think that the 90 experience or the leveling nostalgia for World of Warcraft or any game of choice is gone once the game has been playing for a while. All right, turning this off. I can't think. I'm just singing it in my head. All right. This next part of the show.
Shaftnit, now when did
you last let your
heart
heart delete your character?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Never again. Never again.
All right, anyway. Next up, let's move on. Let's get the show back on track. Holy cow, where is this even going? Let's just, for a free 30-day trial, head on over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV, where you guys can watch really cool movies like Aladdin. I honestly don't know if it's on Netflix. It might not be. I don't know about Disney and their deal. But you can watch really awesome movies. For all of you that didn't know, actually, let's plug Netflix real quick, because if you guys are, well, I'm young, but if you guys at all are Cartoon Network fans, they just signed a deal with Cartoon Network. They've got all of the old shows, Dexter's Lab, Cow and Chicken, Johnny Bravo. I could go on and on about the awesomeness that is on Netflix right now. So guys, if you haven't tried it out, now is the best time to do so. Head on over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV for a free 30-day trial. And if you haven't seen those shows, well, now's your chance. All right. Caller, you're on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're from. Tell us your question. Tell us.
Hello, this is.
Oh,
this is Eduardo from Mexico.
Hello,
Eduardo. Can you sing A Whole New World for us, real quick?
I don't know the lyrics in.
I want to hear them in Spanish. Oh, you liar!
I can Google them, but it's gonna take me a few seconds.
All right, no worries, no worries. Eduardo, it's great to have you back. How are you, man?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Good, good, good. All right. Do I dare ask what you have for us this week? Is it a hilarious question, or do we actually have some talking to do?
It's a normal, boring question about games.
Boring question about games.
Yeah,
I hate questions
what
about
is this?
games.
What is this? A live call-in show that you can call in and ask question about games? Oh wait, that's exactly what this is. All right, what do you got for us?
Okay, so I watched the new trailer for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
I have not seen
I'm sorry.
that.
And well, the game looks fine. The gameplay looks very fluid and very dynamic, but the design of the turtles is creepy. It's like hyper realistic and with very advanced texture rendering, and it looks really creepy, like Uncanny Valley creepy. And well, my question is, if you prefer to have a cartoony style or a hyper realistic style, because sometimes the hyper realistic style can be detrimental.
Are you more talking about kind of like, are you talking about the stills like this summer and they're doing these pauses, or are you talking about like legit like these graphics?
No, I mean like the turtle design, like they are very humanoid and creepy. I don't know if you can find a picture.
I'm trying to find a still. Josh, you got any thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, first off, I mean, come on, turtles are such a sensitive subject as it is. I remember when TMNT came out, and it was so divided because people were very skeptical, not only of what they were going to do to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. They thought that the movies had set them up so well, and obviously the original animated series. So when TMNT came out, there were two sides of the fence. Obviously, the people who wanted things to stay true to the way that they were previously established, but then there was also the people who were really excited that they were kind of taking what originally was going to be a little bit more of a mature turn, where they were kind of going to be the dark comic characters that they had originally been when they were first incepted, if you will. I don't know. I think this is probably the best picture I've got of the turtle, Josh. I don't know. What do you think of this? Is this kind of where you want to see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise go?
Well, the weird thing about the Turtles franchise is it's kind of been back and forth between being semi-realistic and cartoony in the past. Like, obviously there was the I believe it was all spawned out of a comic book series. I got my start on the Saturday morning cartoon show, and that was like super cartoony. It's like, oh, we've got a pizza launcher. Like, why would you do that? Under what situations would you ever fire delicious pizza at someone you don't like?
Have you ever been hit with a scalding hot sticky pizza? Once that molten cheese gets on you, it's like napalm. It's not coming off, bro.
You could have just used napalm, though. If you're going to build a giant machine like this, maybe actually just use napalm and eat the pizzas. But anyway, after that, like the movies came out, and the movies the movies were very uncanny valley, because the little animatronic like bodies that they had, they actually moved surprisingly well for the time. But it was also like, okay, this is now live action, and they're just sort of hanging out, and they're trying to make this look like it fits in through some means or another. So the Ninja Turtle series has kind of always been all over the place in terms of the actual art style. So, I mean, just from that little clip that you played there just a second ago, it doesn't look terrible in terms of the motion, and I think that's really what's going to make it. Like, the animations is really what makes everything. As long as they're not standing there going...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like... And just kind of looking through this trailer, I mean, I feel like it's trying to kind of step up its game. Again, like you said, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has always kind of had this identity crisis of trying to decide which direction it's trying to capitalize on, and almost to the point where it's tried to skate the line perfectly in between, where it's like still childish enough that kids can enjoy it, but still adult enough that adults can enjoy it. I don't know. I think that I don't want to say if this game will make or break the franchise, or reinvigorate it, because to me, honestly, it's neither here nor there. I haven't really been paying attention to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a very, very long time. But I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a bad move. What about the idea, though? I guess I'll throw this to both Josh and you, Eduardo, if you're still out there. Is in terms of graphics, obviously we have a big World of Warcraft viewer base that watches this show, as well as many other games out there that embrace a much more cartoony kind of style. Or do you guys have any issue with the differentiation between graphics? Because I know so many people out there that actually will spit in the face of a game. I'm not saying these are the most reputable people to listen to by any means, but it kind of irks me that there are people out there that will look at a game and write it off simply because it's cartoony and be like, well, this doesn't have amazing graphics, so it can't be good. Or in the reverse, say, look at these graphics, it's gotta be good. That's not always the case, in my opinion.
Well, I have some training in animation, and well, there are many schools of thought when you are designing a character, and usually the most cartoony style characters are more empathic for people. It's easier for a person to feel empathy for a character that is very simple. And when you try to make it very, very humanoid, very close to reality, you may fall into the uncanny valley when you try.
That's exactly
to
what I was going to say.
Yeah. Well, I think that depends on your product and your target audience. Well, my personal philosophy is that cartoony style characters usually have more longevity. And
I
that's
mean,
it.
yeah, there's a lot to be said for that because obviously World of Warcraft is known for having fairly cartoony graphics, and that's still around, right? Games like even like old school, like we look at 8-bit games nowadays and we play them and go, oh, these graphics look fantastic still, because it's just something that it stood up to the test of time. And even games like Final Fantasy VII now looks like crap. Like that game looks awful, but it's still something
You hold
that
your tongue.
they've got giant bricks for hands, man. Like it's a mess.
I want to see more graphics like that.
Giant brick hands. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's definitely and Kara just linked a picture of one of the Ninja Turtles in the chat. So I'm taking a look at that right now. It actually doesn't look terrible, I don't think. Like it could be a lot worse. And if they're going for a little bit more of an adult Ninja Turtles sort of feel to it, then I actually don't have a problem with that. It's actually okay. Like like I said, it's going to depend a lot on the animations. If they can make them move around in a way that seems manageable, it's all going to be down to the. Okay, I don't know what that is.
That's very small. That's a much smaller picture.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's the picture I saw. Oh my god.
Yeah, that one's not so good. That I don't like. That, please, none of that.
But this one looks like it's much more post-rendered, like box art. This one not right here. This one right here looks like it's more in-game in gameplay art. But this is exactly the problem that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been having for a while. Is they are constantly on the evolution of what happened there. How did that happen? They're constantly on the evolution of trying to figure. I don't know what happened there. They're constantly trying to reinvent the way that they look and change how they are. I mean, to me, it's just, I look at this screen and to me, it just screams, okay, we're trying to catch it up with the 2013. I mean, we've got these really awesome, edgy, glowy lines and like out of the shadows. They're trying to
faces that we're making for no good reason.
It's, I don't know.
That I'm not feeling. That one, well, plus it's inconsistent. Like, Leonardo's eyes are glowing, but none of the other turtles are. Like, what's up with that? It's just straight up inconsistent.
He swam around in the ooze too long. That is very inconsistent. Raphael's eyes are super, super small right here. Michelangelo is just bug-eyed and crazy. I don't know about
Donatello's
this.
got like ultimate derp face going on in the background there.
Not only ultimate derp face, he's got like the smallest head out of all of them. It's like so disproportionate to his body. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm hopeful. I like the idea of a dark, gritty Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, because that's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I grew up on, whereas they were these guys who were in like almost like old school Spider-Man. Like they're having fun and kicking back and doing their cowabunga nonsense in a world that's just completely crappy. So I like the idea. I really hope it works out well, and I hope that it doesn't turn into, Raphael making a face.
All right, guys. Well, for a free 30-day trial, like I said, they might have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. I haven't looked. But for a free Netflix trial, head on over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV and check that out. I promise you, especially now with the Cartoon Network deal, it's more than worth the free trial. So head on over and do that. Eduardo, if you don't mind, I'm gonna keep you on the line for this next call. We have a viewer video question, so we'll just throw it out there and then maybe get one more opinion on this. So this viewer video question comes to us from one of our community managers, her son. Let's get into this.
Hi, this is Sam here. I need to tell you something. What Angry Bird do you like? Is it Green Bird? Or is it Big Bro Bird? Or is it Blue Bird? or is it blackbird, or is it yellow bird, or is it white bird, or is it red bird?
So, Josh, which Angry Bird do you like? Red. Oh, lost someone. I think we just lost Eduardo. Clearly, Angry Birds is obviously a very popular game, not only with children, but with anybody who likes to kill time and sit on the toilet. I mean, what? So do you have a favorite Angry Bird out of all the ones? Here's the problem is, let's be honest, there are so many Angry Birds throughout all the courses of the game, so I think we're just gonna have to stick to the original Angry Birds, not like the Star Wars ones, not the space ones, because they get crazy going forward. Do you have a favorite Angry Bird?
So I'm not. I was never like. I never really got into Angry Birds. I kind of didn't see the appeal. It felt very, very simplistic to me. But when I was playing it, and the few times that I have played it, I've always felt partial to the Yellow Bird, because he just gets things done. That's his job. He's just like, there's a wall over there, and I'm kind of like the Red Bird in that you just throw me. But then I just decide I'm going to go right through absolutely everything while I'm at it. I'm just going to kill everything in sight.
I've got to say, I think my favorite Angry Bird is the black one, the one that's like a bomb, because that one's just so much more fun. Because you just basically try and launch it in the middle of everything, and then just tap and watch everything explode. So that's my favorite Angry Bird. Let's jump back into this. We're still trying to get someone on the line for one more caller. He had one more question. Actually, he had two more questions, but we'll maybe save the third one for another show. But one more question coming at us from Sam.
Which pet battle animal do you like? Is it scorpion? Red, scorpion, or is it spider, or is it a bear, or is it a robot bunny? Okay.
All right, so favorite pet battle. Pet. Josh, you've got to have some out there. You told me, I think I remember you saying that you've gotten much more involved into the pet battles. Do you have a favorite one out there that sticks out in your mind?
Right now, I'm using one of the tiny little dinosaurs from the new island, because he's a tiny little dinosaur. He's a dinosaur.
So is he one of the dinosaurs from Land Before Time? Did you name him Ducky?
No.
Or
I named him
Sarah?
I Poop Charms, because that's what I use him for. Eat bugs, poop charms. That's his job.
Eat bugs, poop charms. Wow.
Yep.
I have not been doing much pet battling lately, but I think the highest level one that I have, because my problem is I don't necessarily have a favorite, because in the leveling process, you're obviously still trying to collect the most powerful. So anytime I find like a blue one out in the wild, my first instinct is to catch it and then try and raise it and re-level it. So I haven't necessarily found one that it's like, this is the one that I always keep in my party no matter what. But I think the ones that I keep around the most are the raptor, just because, and I don't know if this goes for all of the raptors, but I know that at least the raptor that I have has like the devour ability, where if it not only does high damage, but if he kills an enemy, he gets health back. But I also keep the moth kind of for the same thing, because the moth has the nice ability where you can, I think it's you wrap the enemy and either their accuracy goes down or they're stunned. Like I said, it's been a while since I've played. Or they fly into the air and then become untargetable, and they come down and do a bunch of damage. So definitely, might have just lost the caller. Definitely, moth or raptor have got to be my pet battle favorites. So Sam, thank you so much for your viewer video question. You had one more question in there, and maybe we'll come back to it next week. But we really, really appreciate it, and thanks for watching. So young and already on the right path. watching Gamebreaker After Dark. Now,
Yeah,
he's
only a few
late.
years older than you are.
He is only a few years older than me, but which is why I can say it's past your bedtime. You should be in bed, sir. Listen to your mother, drink your milk, eat your vegetables. All right. Let's see if we got a caller on. If not, we'll go to a Twitter question. Caller, you're on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're from. Tell us your question.
Hey, this is Mike from Virginia.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
So
That'll
I'm
be
not
easy
sure
to
I can,
remember.
not sure I can follow up that those last two questions, but I'll try.
They were probably the best we've ever gotten on After Dark.
Getting right into the core of the issues.
Yes.
They were good. So my question's on the topic of edutainment, which is kind of the fusion of education and entertainment.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of studies that have proven that this helps like early education, engagement, and enthusiasm. But you know, after hearing this, it made me realize that most games that would tend to fall in this category are a lot older. There aren't many newer games being made in this style. Like when I grew up, I was playing games like Mario is Missing, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? And I just want to know why do you guys think there have been far fewer games that could fall in this category, and especially since video games are becoming far more mainstream?
I think part of it is... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say we were me and my coworkers were just talking about Carmen Sandiego, which to me invoked a whole nostalgia trip, and I don't even think that's in video games. I mean, think back to some of the older entertainment or television, you know, that we used to have that was very entertaining yet informative. A lot of that's disappeared nowadays as well. I don't want to go too far down this road. I think partially it's due to our fragile economy at the moment is heavily stifling anyone who's trying to necessarily take a risk to do education that won't turn a profit for the people who are investing in it. I think that's a big problem that we're seeing there. Now, Josh, what were you going to say?
Well, there's certainly that kind of latches on a little bit to what I was going to talk about, is that there's definitely a money side to things that are going on. If you remember back when games like Number Munchers and Where in Time and Where in the World and Carmen Sandiego were, like, I used to play a lot of Where in Time as Carmen Sandiego. For whatever reason, I had that one and not the other one. I always thought that was weird, but whatever. When you think back to when those games came out, video games were not mainstream back then, which meant that a lot of these development companies, a lot of the more successful games back then, were the ones that sort of Trojan horsed their way into being video games. They were the ones that's like, oh, but your kids will learn something. And then parents were like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's an okay video game to buy them. But nowadays, people will be like, oh, well, it's something that I can sit them in front of the television for a while and they'll be quiet. That's kind of what we've evolved into at this point. That's just, since video games are more mainstream nowadays, people don't feel like they need an excuse to buy video games for their kids. They don't feel like there has to be some sort of greater overarching goal to having a video game than just getting them to shut up for a little while. Or, you know, you could say it as letting your kids have some fun. I guess you could think of it that way, but maybe I'm a little bit too narcissistic. But still...
Do you feel you had all retained the knowledge? And I'm not saying that they were obviously great development processes, and there was definite value in Number Munchers, Maphis Beacon, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. But we'll use Carmen Sandiego as a example. Do you guys think you remember? Do you have any stories where you maybe remember facts because of playing that game? Like, because I for one could not tell you any of the facts that I just Googled or looked up in an atlas when I was playing Carmen Sandiego. Like, to me, I wasn't really learning anything for the long haul, even though it did, I guess, get me thinking and researching.
Well, when I played Carmen Sandiego, we didn't have the internet yet, so...
Well, we had very basic AOL, I think, when I was playing. Very basic.
No, it's kind of funny that you bring that up, because I used to play a lot of Number Munchers when I was a kid. I'm the worst at math. I am terrible at math. I don't know like how I lost all of that over the years, but yeah, definitely. I guess I was decent at math for a little while, but I certainly lost that as time went on.
What about you, Mike? Do you have any games?
I know Math Blaster kind of helped out with like learning basic multiplication and stuff like that. But I mean, I also took a lot away from Oregon Trail. Like, I didn't know what dysentery or typhoid was before that. So there's that.
You darn well. Josh, stop going away. Why?
I'm still here. I still have a video feed in the thing.
What?
I don't know why you're not seeing me.
There we go.
There we go.
Stop leaving us, Josh. Gosh, dysentery. Yeah, if you didn't know what dysentery was pre-Oregon Trail, you darn well learned, because everyone who was on that trip with you would die of it.
I still didn't know what dysentery was at the time. I just knew it kept killing everyone. And I was like, damn it, freaking dysentery.
Bad. It's bad. That's all you need to know.
But no, I think there's definitely still a market for that sort of thing, and I think it's something that people should be looking into a little bit more. I just think a lot of the stuff that you learn from video, and I seem to remember having a conversation like this on After Dark before, but I think a lot of what we learn from video games nowadays doesn't necessarily come from an edutainment title. It comes from just sort of the stuff that you have to do as part of playing the game. You learn basic things, like you learn little simple math in like an MMO, trying to figure out which ability is better than another, or like, is this piece of gear better than that one? There's some basic math involved in that. Obviously, these are a lot more advanced games, so we're not talking about something that a kid would play, but I think there's a way to tie that in there. I think there's a way to take that concept and say, okay, this piece of gear has a 3 on it, this piece of gear has a 4. Which one is better? Equip this, and there, off you go again. I think there's definitely room for more, and there are some, like I believe Free Realms does a lot of stuff like that. There are a lot of titles that are along those lines. I think there's something to the idea, and I would love to see more games that actually take the bits of education a little bit more seriously. It's just, they have to also be fun in the process, or else kids aren't going to play them. They're just going to sit down and go, ugh, all right, Mavis Beacon, please continue to teach me how to type.
I still to this day think that and I don't know if they still use Mavis Beacon at all or not, but if there's a like typing class out there, that should just be an hour of kids getting to play MMOs. Because I learned to type fast and not look at my keyboard because I was playing MMOs, not because I was playing Mavis Beacon.
And you learn such more colorful vocabulary playing an MMO as well.
Oh, so much more colorful. It'd be great. You could sell that really easily. That's a mature language feature. Just turn that on and don't let the kids turn it off. All right, let's, Mike, thanks so much for the question. Unfortunately, we are running low on time, and we got a lot of other callers. I think like 3 other callers to get onto. So thank you so much. We're going to move on, though. Real quick before we get another caller on the line, Brian Naya wants to know, hey guys, just wondering if you had any tips for purchasing BlizzCon tickets.
Have friends.
Have friends is number one. You want to know what my plan is? It's the same plan that I did last year or 2 years ago. I'm gonna have to try and bribe some of my coworkers to stay at work until 7 o'clock. I'm gonna literally have 5 people, hopefully, sitting at their computers, all hitting refresh, like 30 seconds before 7 o'clock, and just doing it, and then seeing which person is the farthest in line, and then using their computer in order to do it. That's my advice on how to do it. If you have 2 or 3 people, I actually had someone contact me through WoW, Teddy Torin, who had an idea of getting a bunch of people on like Skype or Vent or Mumble or something, and just having everybody sit over chat and do it, and then whoever gets farthest in line is responsible for purchasing the tickets, and then you get reimbursed and blah blah blah. So there's that. I mean, the biggest problem, the biggest flaw in that system is obviously the person who gets farthest in line has to be able to front X amount of tickets. So you have to have $600 in order to buy it.
Yes and no. If you use PayPal, because you can actually I believe you can actually use PayPal to purchase directly off the Blizzard store. In fact, I'm almost positive that you can. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head right now, but I'm almost positive that you can, and it would be easy enough to check. Like, I just can't check it right now, but like go try and buy a pet or something and see if it will let you use PayPal to pay for it. I'm pretty sure you can use PayPal, and the way PayPal works, you can be in line and you say, okay, well, I'm 5th in, or I'm 500th in line or something like that. You have everybody sign up for, I think 5 tickets is the maximum you can sign up for. You say whoever gets in first. So you have 5 people that are all in a group. And you say, well, whoever gets in first is buying all 5 of us the tickets. And then when you get in there, you say, okay, well, it's going to be that guy. So we'll all send him over PayPal our $175, or is that? It just occurred to me that I hadn't actually looked to see how much they cost this year, but I believe it's
175. It's 175.
Okay, yeah. So you just send them your $175 and say, okay, well, he's got it in PayPal now, and it won't clear right away in his PayPal account, but PayPal will treat it as cleared as the purchase that you're about to make. So it will finish everything before it counts against your balance. So that's something that I've done a couple times now, and it usually works out pretty well. You just say, you don't necessarily have to have everybody fronting the money. You just use PayPal, and then it's fine. So I know a lot of people are kind of scared and kind of skeptical of PayPal still. So if you don't want to use PayPal, then that causes a problem, I guess. But that's what I've done before, and it usually works out pretty well.
I mean, the biggest tip is obviously, as Josh said, the more friends you have, the more chances you have to get to the front of the line, the better off you'll be, and it just kind of works that way. Not only for the fact that if you can find, you know, a group of 4 or 5 people that all have the interest of going to BlizzCon, then that's maybe people that you can meet up with and attend BlizzCon with, because you know, I didn't necessarily have no one to go with. I was obviously a part of everything that Gamebreaker did 2 years ago. But when I first initially bought my BlizzCon ticket, I wasn't doing anything with Gamebreaker, and I did buy it to go by myself. And so I kind of had my own experience going on because I didn't want to necessarily just hold Lore's hand the whole entire time. So then you have, you know, 4 or 5 people that you can sit and talk with and kind of plan to go to BlizzCon with, that are all kind of looking for tickets. So find friends, find guild mates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about other tips? Are there any other tips at all to increase your chances to get a BlizzCon ticket besides hitting F5 10 million times and crossing your fingers and knocking on wood?
Run a popular World of Warcraft fan site.
You jerk. Get out. You know what? I'm making you go away. I don't even care what that is. Josh went away again because he thinks he's just better than everyone else and doesn't have to worry about the lines. You jerk.
I'm going to be sitting in the line anyway, though, because I got friends that are going to need tickets. So
yeah. That brings up another issue that I've talked with a couple people about when talking about how many tickets I'm going to try and purchase for other people. Obviously, they are linking these tickets to the Battle.net accounts. That's what they've done in previous years, but they've talked about trying to tighten security in order to decrease the scalping ability of getting these tickets. What problems could we potentially run into tomorrow, or I guess not tomorrow, but when BlizzCon hits? If tomorrow I'm sitting on Skype with all my friends, I get it first in line, everybody wires me my money, I buy all 5 tickets, and now I get to BlizzCon and they're like, okay, give me your Battle.net account, and then I got 5 tickets with my name on it, or are we gonna get there tomorrow night and it's gonna say, okay, you want 5 tickets, give me the first, last name, email address of every single person that you're buying a ticket for, and that'll be the name that prints onto the ticket. How do you think this is gonna work? Because they're tightening security this year.
They've talked about tightening security, but I haven't actually seen what they're changing. And from the sounds of things, they're just saying that they're going to require an ID to be able to actually redeem your ticket, which I honestly thought they were doing before. But like from the process that I read through, and unless there's something else that I missed somewhere, but the process that I read through that they were talking about doing this year is literally just an email gets sent out. You print out the email. It has a barcode. You take the barcode up to get your ticket. They ask for your ID on top of the barcode. So they scan the barcode. It says, this is this person's information. You show them your ID, etc. They've always asked for a little bit of personal information to go along with it. Things like your, whose Battle.net email address are you buying this for, etc. They've always done stuff like that already. So I don't honestly know how much, you already kind of can't take someone else's ticket and turn it in at BlizzCon. Unless people were just finding a way to work around that I'm not aware of, you always kind of had to do all that. So I really don't know, to be honest. I honestly don't, if there is something else, I don't know what else are they gonna do? Make you show ID every time you walk into the convention?
So what Passport, and I forget, I only bought 1 ticket last year, and I don't remember if multiple people. So if I buy 2 accounts, is my name on both the passes?
No. If you buy 2 tickets, then you enter in the name for each person. Also, real quick correction that someone is pointing out in the chat room. Apparently, you can only use credit and debit cards for BlizzCon purchase.
No PayPal.
BlizzCon ticket purchases. No PayPal. I'm pretty sure you can use it elsewhere in the Blizzard store, but I guess for BlizzCon tickets, you can only use a debit card, which is fine if you have a PayPal debit card, but not a lot of people actually have those. So that's a bit of a downer, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be tough. In
terms of the actual information, I mean, they've always asked for, like, what's the name of this person? What's their Battle.net ID? You always have had to put that stuff in ahead of time, and then that's on the email that you print out. So
what if I'm buying a ticket for a friend of mine who doesn't have a Battle.net account?
They can get one for free in 5 seconds.
So people have to be registered and integrated into the system in order to go to BlizzCon, which is a small prerequisite. I'm not trying to blame that. It's a very small prerequisite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very small prerequisite, but I guess I'm just trying to think of getting and even for myself and helping this person out and getting all their ducks in a row is make sure that I guess you know everybody that you're buying a ticket for. If you're buying multiple tickets, make sure they've got a Battle.net account, and you should be fine and good to go. So other than that, there you go. BlizzCon tomorrow, come 7:01. You'll know if I made first round because they'll all be sold out, and I'll be tweeting ecstatically whether I need to wake up early Saturday morning or have my ticket and I'm good to go. All right, let's open up the lines and keep the show moving. We got about 5, maybe 10 more minutes to go. Caller, you're on the line with Gamebreaker After Dark. Tell us your name, tell us where you're from, tell us your question.
DC Creator from Ohio.
Hey, man, how's it going?
All right. Question is, now that Nintendo has announced a sequel to Link to the Past, is it time to buy a 3DS?
My gut answer is absolutely emphatically yes. But Josh, I don't know if you have an opinion on this at all, since I'm assuming this is being thrown my way since I'm the resident Zelda fan.
Well, it's interesting. Like I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, why would I buy a 3DS? What purpose do I have to purchasing a 3DS? Because everything's like remakes and stuff. I guess obviously there's original titles on the 3DS, but none of those have been interesting me, and all the major franchises have been like remakes and stuff. So I've been like, I don't really know if I actually care about any of that stuff. And then Link to the Past sequel, and no matter which way you slice it, that's going to be that's the fact that a Link to the Past sequel is happening is huge for anyone who's even a little bit aware of how the Zelda universe works. So
that timeline.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very interested to see how this works out, and I kind of want to play it now.
Yeah, it's really tough because Ocarina of Time was almost a selling point. I was so close. It took everything in me to not go buy a 3DS when 3D Ocarina of Time came out. However, what kept me from doing it was the fact that I've got it on N64 twice. I've got it on GameCube. You can get it on Virtual Console. I have so many other ways to play it that I was just like, there wasn't enough justification to drop the money on this handheld. Not to mention, I told myself long ago I would never put money down on a handheld for one game before, because I've done that in the past, played that one game, and then it's collected dust, and I've never touched it again. The fact that we're getting this new IP, or not new IP, but this new entry into the series is really, really strong justification to go and invest in a 3DS. I don't know if I'm completely sold on it yet. But my gut is telling me I'm going to buy it at some point.
I mean, I'm feeling on that one. I bought what? Yeah, it would be like 10 years ago now. But I bought a GameCube and 4 Game Boy Advances just to play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Played it once, never again. That was not a good investment.
No, it's just
a little bit.
It's so tough, and I remember my an old coworker back when I lived in Washington, because that's when the 3DS launched. He brought it in, he showed me some of the games on it, and I was like, oh, this is really cool and gimmicky and fun. It's like, I would probably play this for about a week and then never pick it up again. Now the 3DSs actually have gone down considerably in price, though, since they first launched. I think they're down to, what, $250-ish?
I don't actually know off the top of my head, but sure, sounds good.
So, I mean, it's a lot more interesting in that sense. Josh, do you have any thoughts of Link to the Past and the story that's going on in Zelda? Do you have any theory of maybe what they could do with this title in terms of story, or where they could go with it, or are you kind of foggy on the details there?
It's Zelda, man. None of what they do makes any sense at the time, no matter what.
Ganon's gonna come back in some way, shape, or form.
Sure, why not?
Zelda's gonna need to be saved.
Oh,
they did say when Hyrule Historia came out, they did say that going forward that they were wanting to try and tread new territory, because the bloodlines of the fiction is starting to grow thin. So we could be looking at interesting side stories. I know we had Majora's Mask, which is a side story. We had Minish Cap and Four Swords Adventures, which kind of told about Vati and this new Ganon. But I think what's interesting,
come up with another idea to name him. It's like they just wanted to be confusing. That was the whole point.
Exactly. No, but I think what's interesting, and I'll just wrap up with this. They were talking about for the new Zelda, not the 3D, not the Link to the Past sequel, but for the new one, trying to make multiplayer and non-linear dungeons a reality. And I thought it was interesting, and I was like, well, how's that going to work? How are you possibly going to be able to do that? And I realized, because I just actually been recently replaying the original Legend of Zelda, and that one, even though you have to beat every dungeon to get all the pieces of the Triforce in order to go fight Ganon, you don't have to do them all in order. And that's probably the way that they're going to try and do about it in, like I said, these future installments. So I wonder if we could see non-linear progression dungeons in this new Link to the Past sequel, in which point, if we do, I'm very excited to try it and see how they try and pull it off, because of what that could entail for the next console Zelda. It's going to be really, really interesting. I'm super, super excited. As everybody knows, I'm a huge Zelda fan, so I cannot wait.
2 words. 2 words. Zelda roguelike.
Roguelike? Zelda roguelike?
You don't know what a roguelike is. Okay. Roguelikes are the games that they have completely randomly generated dungeons, and if you die, you start over, like FTL, for example, is a roguelike. Something like that would be amazing. I would like to see it. That's not what it is at all. There's no way that's what that is, but I would love to see that happen.
I don't think that could I don't think that could technically work, just for the fact of randomized dungeons would insinuate no puzzles to solve. And that's what Zelda is at its core, is kind of it's become a puzzle game.
You, my friend, need to play some roguelikes. You need to get in on some of that. They can do incredibly complicated things in those games. You would be surprised. Right. And it would actually be similar to something they've done before, which was in Majora's Mask, where you sort of had the whole Groundhog Day thing going, where you relive.
I love over and over. Love Majora's Mask. I'm going to extend this just for a little bit more, because I need to just talk about how awesome Majora's Mask was. And in terms of gameplay, Josh, have there been any other games out there that have kind of done that time system where the game's events are on a schedule, and you can affect the way that schedule plays based on your interaction with NPCs? Because that's why I think Majora's Mask was so mystical, was it actually was a living, breathing world that you got to see the way that you affected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was this sort of, again, it was very Groundhog Day. It was figure out, if I do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, what happens? I honestly can, like, I'm sure there's other games that have tried to take the same idea and do it again, because it was a really good idea. I'm sure someone's tried to copy it, but I don't have any ideas that come to mind. So.
Well, I would love to see it again, but in the meantime, I'm just going to go play Majora's Mask. You can follow Josh Allen right there at Devilore. Let me try and get this music playing. DEVOLORE. Catch him over on tankspot.com where he puts out awesome shows like Just the Tip. Some awesome TankSpot video guides that are kind of maybe still coming out sometime, maybe.
They are. I'm still... Listen, man. I've had a pretty rough few weeks, but they're coming. They're on their way.
I'm just saying, bro. I need your help. I'm trying to do LFR with Li Shen. I keep saying Li Shi. That was really embarrassing when I was sitting there at Li Shen and I was like, I gotta know how to do this fight. How do I do it? And I pulled up the Li Shen or the Li Shi. Gosh, the Li Shi TankSpot encounter. I was like, wait a second, this is wrong. You can follow me right.
This does not look like the same place.
It could be me, but that's a different polygon count. You can follow me right here at Mike Schaffnitz. We do this show every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. PDT, and we cannot do the show without you. So guys, please, if you have not watched the show live, I strongly encourage you to do so. All you guys got to do is just tune in at gamebreaker.tv/live. Be sure to follow at GamebreakerTV on Twitter. Follow us on or like us on Facebook. Check us out all over the place. We do a whole bunch of other awesome shows. And I think that does it for this week. Thank you guys so much for calling in. I know we had to cut off a couple callers. I apologize. I promise we'll try and get you guys on next week. See you next time.